Now, before we jump into today's episode, this podcast is brought to you by the Bond Brothers. And the question I have for you is, wouldn't you want to be walking around feeling like the man? I feel like that's a complete no-brainer. There's a real psychology behind how we dress, and when we look sharp, we move differently. And that's where the Bond Brothers come in. Irish Groomswear Supplier of the Year with their premium store in Goatstown. They offer luxury wedding suits, tuxedos, and expert personal fittings to make sure that you show up like a man on a mission. Head over to the Bond Brothers Instagram and contact Brendan, and he will make sure that you walk away looking dapper. Bond Brothers, where confidence is tailored.
Well, I think we should acknowledge, Mr. James Hempton, that I have got you on the podcast because I was meant to have somebody else on the podcast.
That's right.
I think that's fair to say because my poor little daughter broke her arm. She broke her arm, what day is it? Today's Saturday. She broke it 2 days ago. Thursday,
yeah.
And she's all right, but as we're speaking right now, she may need surgery. So it'll be interesting when I listen back to this. I think she will be getting surgery. I hope she doesn't need surgery.
Yeah.
But I think she will be getting surgery.
That's the great thing about podcasts and videos that you post online is like they're timestamps of that time that you're going through.
Yeah.
And you can reflect back, oh, geez, that time that Sailor potentially broke her arm or elbow.
Well, she did.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Or say to get surgery. Or she might have to get surgery.
Yeah. But look, Mr. James Hempton, I'd say people listening to this podcast would potentially know you from my Instagram. Me and you have been, like, you would post a lot of content of me and you training and that kind of crack. Yeah. But for people who don't know you, who are you?
Oh, what a big question.
Who are you? Who's Mr. James Hempton?
Who is Mr. James Hempton? That is a great question, Ron. I suppose I am a young man that's 28 years old that's into fitness, health, stoicism, spiritual development, personal growth. And now I'm going into the kind of men's coaching space as well, similar to what you've done yourself. And how I actually came to know Mr. Brian O'Loughlin was through Movement 101 back in the day, buying multiple courses, whether it's Rings 101 or Mobile for Life. And I just loved the message that you were speaking about at the time. And it's kind of brought me down a journey of, I would call it it's all self-development based. It's all self-development based. But sorry, who am I? Jesus, what a big question to ask. I'm many things, Ron. I'm many things to many different people. But I wouldn't have a clear-cut answer.
Well, that's good because that is fair. Because right now, though, you are genuinely...
I'm formless. Well,
you are in nursing, so that's what you're doing currently.
Oh, nursing, yeah. Mental health. Sorry, background is mental health nursing, yeah.
And you are coaching. You've got 3 clients currently coaching men.
Yeah.
Same time.
So,
but you're actually in this space. This is why I kind of wanted to get you on to have the conversation. But like our friendship, because you said to me off the podcast before we started, 3 years ago, you got a memory of when you saw me speak at Martin and Tierney's thing.
That is correct. It was a Radisson Blu hotel next to the airport. And the only reason why I bought that ticket, Brian, was to actually see yourself talk that day. Because I've been following your content, been loving what you're posting. And I thought there was a bit of depth to it. It wasn't just kind of movement based. You were talking about different things as well. Obviously, movement was your main thing to get people in the door. But then you were talking about whether it's consistency or building momentum in your life or habits and development. I was like, fucking, this is... Look, this man has his own business. He's doing something he loves to do. He's passionate about it. He's found his purpose through it. I'm like, this is the sort of person I want to be around. And it happened to be that Tierney and Martin were doing an event there, and I bought that ticket. I think it was only 25 quid. And I said to myself, my intention going into that event was, I'm going to stop Brian at one stage. I'm not going to stop I'm going to corner him. And I'm just going to say, listen, love your work, man. Would love to grab a coffee. And that's exactly what I did. And before I approached you, I was nervous as hell, man. My heart was beating, the palms were sweating. I go, fuck, he's actually real. I can't believe it. And I just said, fuck it, go up and just say something. And I did. And I think he invited me around to the studio. And ever since then, I think within that 3 years, I would say this is the closest friendship, or one of the closest friendships that I have in my own life. And the space that we give each other is to help each other understand the world much better, to express, who we really are deep down. I think each and every man needs that. They need another man that can understand and help their friends to develop to a completely different level. And I think our friendship has just blossomed beautifully. And I just feel I've grown a lot inside of the friendship as well. So yeah, well, that's a bit of the backstory how
I would massively agree with that, because 3 years ago, like the person you are now to who you were 3 years ago, it's unbelievable to see your development. But even myself, because you being 28 years of age, I'm 38 years of age, and there's a 10-year difference. I don't know if people would think that that's weird, or how could we connect to that level. And we're going to go through it, I suppose, over this episode. But Yeah, as you mentioned there, like your development has been great, but you've given me a great space again to have the opportunity to connect with you again, to have that support. I suppose my first question has to be, because it has to be this: like, you're 28 years of age, and we're going to understand you a lot over this episode. But how have you got a level of understanding of yourself at such a young age?
Yeah.
What's been key for you?
Yeah. Well, the keyest thing for me, Brian, has been meditation. Meditation has definitely changed my life. I came across meditation when I was 23 years old through Jay Shetty. He's a monk. He's a very popular podcast.
I'm sorry, why? What was it about that? Why in that time were you looking at meditation?
I got into personal development. I started reading Atomic Habits, being the first book I ever picked up. And then I was looking online. I was like, I need to change my path in life. Because I was in college at the time over in Scotland. I wasn't really happy even with the course I was doing or the direction I was going on. I was like, I think every young man has an inclination of like, there's something more. There's something more here. I could become something more if I put time and effort into develop myself. And I came across self-development anyway. But Jay Shetty was the man that got me into meditation. He's a book called Think Like a Monk. And I just started consuming more of his content and reading his book. And I was like, I'm going to give this a shot. So I downloaded Headspace, the app. And just to cut a long story short, Brian, what meditation has done for me is give me awareness. And awareness is the number one thing that you need in life to go and develop yourself and to become the greatest version of yourself. That's what I believe, because awareness is your ability to notice. And when you're meditating and you're sitting there and you're still in the mind and you're still in the body, you begin to notice that you're having reoccurring thoughts in your head and they're happening over and over again. And then you reach a place of just pure peace and stillness and serenity. And it takes a good bit of work to get there, but when you get there, then you can begin to program your mind with more positive thoughts. And I have to say, like, I have a very healthy outlook on life. I think I'm very excited about the future, what's going to come. I get very optimistic about certain things, and I feel now I have a depth of connection with myself that I can have with other people as well. And because I've gone inside and done a lot of internal work through meditation and following the breath and understanding more about spirituality as well, it's helped me connect with people on a much deeper level. And I think that's what we have together now, is a real depth of connection that is very hard to find anywhere else, because you're oh God, it's very aware as well, and you live very authentically, and that's what I love. I love when I meet Brian O'Loughlin. I shouldn't say it like that. When I
Hello, sir. I'm here.
Hello, sir. When I meet you, I'm like, this is the real version of you, and when you see me, you see the real version of me. I'm not trying to play a role.
Yes,
I'm not trying to play a role at all. But sorry. Meditation has given me that sense of awareness, which has helped me mature to a much greater level. And a lot of the friends I have in life as well just tend to be older than me as well, because I think just the maturity that comes with just being self-aware. You're like, I don't want to do fucking bullshit activities. Like, I don't drink, I don't gamble, I don't watch porn. You know, I'd rather live a real life, you know, going after things that serve me, like creating a business, you know, have real meaning and purpose in the world, have a woman that I love, create a family one day. These are the things that are a real man values. And yeah, just awareness has helped me get there.
Well, can you give me a bit of information there? Because people may not understand what awareness means. Yeah. So what does awareness mean to you? What is it?
Great question. Yeah, so awareness, what awareness means to me is the ability to notice, right? And a good analogy to almost view awareness the way to view awareness would be, I believe a lot of people in the world are asleep at the wheel. So they're living unconsciously almost. And you can imagine awareness is like a flashlight that shines its beam towards you, and you go from like your subconscious mind into your conscious mind. Now you're behind the wheel, you're in control of the car, your two hands are on the steering wheel, and your lens, you're viewing out the window, and that's life in front of you, and you're navigating life the way you want to go, but you're also aware that you're doing it. You're not sleepwalking through life. And I find that's what awareness is your ability to notice. And when you don't have that, you're just sleepwalking. You're caught in routine. And there's a famous quote I remember reading before that Joe Dispenza said in his book Supernatural. And a lot of people, by the time they get to age 35, are living a life unconscious, and they're basically repeating the same habits over and over again, and they'll never change. They're locked in for life. And that's what kind of having a closed mind is all about, is that you're repeating the same habits over and over again. You're not allowing any new information in because you're lacking awareness. Awareness is really the key of life, I believe. Like, it's so, so important. And going back to meditation as well, it helped me understand the spiritual side of our nature as well. We're all spiritual beings.
Well, you said it off podcast that when you meditate, you can get to that state where you're nothing.
You're nothing, yeah.
What do you mean by that?
So we were referring to a podcast before we got going that's on Modern Wisdom. His name was...
Joe something or other. 23
Yeah.
Ways to Be Kinder. I just can't think of his name right now.
23 ways to be kinder to yourself. But he said something.
Sorry, Joe Hudson.
Joe Hudson. Lovely. So he mentioned on the podcast, he touched on meditation as well, and just still in the mind, still in the body, becoming nice and calm. And what happens in that moment is there's nothing in front of you. The mind's gone quiet, the body is nice and still, and there's no ego involved there. Like the ego kind of dissipates because there's now nothing. There literally is nothing. Like there's nothing there. And then I do believe when you kind of get past that sense of the ego, there's this connection that then you have with yourself, because you start going inwards. There's no more I'm trying to be this, I'm trying to be that. You're not playing a role. There's no facade anymore. It's like, this is just me. I'm just here by myself. Reveal what's inside. Speak your truth, live your truth. And that's what meditation and that practice has helped me do.
Yeah, I love that, because a lot of people reach out to me, and they like that idea of being on autopilot, especially at my age, right? So like I'm 38. When you're in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, and the responsibility and the kids and there's things to be done, you kind of feel like you can't stop, or you can't create that space. But that awareness to me is everything. And I would agree. I've had conversations on this podcast so many times, Daniel Davey, Damien Brown, and awareness is always the first step.
Yeah.
Like you really can't move forward without that awareness. I don't know if I've mentioned on this podcast, I definitely mentioned to you, but the cinema screen and the awareness.
I love this, yeah.
So I just may as well mention it now if I haven't before. But the idea being that the mind is the movie. So if we're sitting in the cinema screen, we think that the movie is the mind and that is life. That is fact. That is what it is. But we actually forget there's a screen in front, and that screen is awareness.
Yeah.
So you're there talking about being on autopilot. We often get lost in the movie, in the mind, and we just take that as fact, and it just goes on. So whatever negative chatter or bullshit's going on, or habitual things that we aren't even aware of, we just take on as fact. But if you can meditate or write, or we're going to talk about now, discussion, just having good, honest, open
discussion.
Conversations, you can gain that awareness. And you go, wait a second, there's a screen here. Wait a second, I'm looking at the mind, I'm looking at the movie going, is that real?
And you can rewrite the story.
Yeah.
You can rewrite your own story, and how you do it. Like the whole world is reflected back to you, and it's how we see the world. But the world is also constructed inside your own mind. And this is the power of thought. Like your thoughts create your reality. And what meditation has taught me, or what breathwork and stillness and awareness has taught me, is like we can rewrite the story of our own minds, which is a powerful position, especially as a man, to be in. And your thoughts create your reality. So can you plant seeds of more positive thoughts in your mind and have a more optimistic and positive outlook on life? Because the inputs will affect the outputs. And like you said there, people are caught in that loop of almost not believing they can control the movie that they're living in. And the power to you comes by believing that you can control that, and you can rewrite your story, and you can have a much greater outcome in life, because your thoughts go on to affect your emotions. And we're emotional beings. Emotions are energy in motion. And I often, we've talked about this as well, there's a great scale from a guy called Richard D. Dawkins, I think his name is, and it's the scale of consciousness.
Yes.
And, maybe for the listeners or for the viewers, we can pop it up on screen. But how I like to operate is from the top part of the very top of the scale, should I explain, is emotions of power. So it's peace, love, joy. And at the highest height is what the Buddha got to call enlightenment. But the lowest low, towards the end of the cone or the scale, is fear, apathy, grief, and the lowest low is shame. So your thoughts are going to put you on this scale. So if you're thinking positive thoughts and thoughts of tranquility and optimism for the future, and you're thinking positively, you're going to be at the top of that scale, and then that's going to affect you on an emotional level. And like I said, we're emotional beings, but we also have a strong intuition. So our intuition is like a sixth sense. That's how I view intuition. And when we're around each other, we pick up on energy. And I have to say, your energy is very good. And I often notice if something's off with you, I'll go, geez, Brian, your energy is slightly off. I'll just pick up on it straight away. And I think that's where awareness comes in as well. You're aware not just of yourself, but also of others as well. But the point I'm trying to make here is that awareness will help you create better thoughts. And them thoughts will then create a better energetic field around you. And then you'll operate from a better frequency. And you'll live a life on a better vibration. And there's a great quote that I love from Nikola Tesla. And he said, the secret to the world is to understand energy, frequency, and vibration. And it's so true, because we're energetic beings. We give off thought frequencies and we vibrate energy out of us. So I know it does sound a bit woo-woo. It definitely sounds a bit woo-woo, but awareness will help you unlock basically this whole section of life that is possible, and you can live a much better life. And I'm on the cusp of that. There's certain things I'm still developing within myself. I'm not a finished article at all.
But this is the idea with this, I think. And anyone listening to this right now, at 28 years of age, be like talking the way you're talking, and I know you over the last 3 years, so I know how you're living. And look, no one has the answer in the sense of they're final and they're finished, you know. But like everything you're explaining, even that scales of consciousness, I mentioned on the podcast before. So again, these conversations are what I've been having over the last 8-9 weeks. On these episodes, and again, you're living this, which is fucking real. So I'll tell you what, let's dive into our friendship, right?
Yeah.
Because
just before we, sorry, just to cut across you, Brian, I think it's important in life if you believe in something enough to embody it. So if you've got a philosophy for life, make sure you're living it, because you just touched on there. I do like to live these things the same way you live your own philosophy. Philosophy is very important. It's a way of thinking, but just you've got to embody what you believe in. It's very important as well.
I think that's brilliant. And do you know what? People might struggle to do that. And why? Because maybe they don't have that support. And that's where friendship comes in.
Yeah.
So having someone, and again, we're going to go through the
gateway.
values that we have. See that? So it's almost like I'm a podcaster, James. I know what I'm doing here. So I tell you what we'll do, right? So let's go like how we have been able to develop our friendship over the last 3 years and really help each other develop as a result, despite me being 10 years older than you. Because that's not what it's about. Again, age, if we go back to what you're saying here in terms of that meditation, if you're nothing, you're nobody when you get to that state, well, age is just a fucking number, really.
It really is. Like, and it is. Like, you're 10 years old. I don't. Like, that never comes into my mind. Never comes into my mind.
But the only difference potentially is that I have a bit more experience in life. So maybe,
you're
maybe there's
you're
that.
definitely.
But in terms of actually us having the values and the conversations and the things that we actually want to do,
it doesn't matter. Age is just a number in that sector. Like, my missus is 7 years younger than me, so like, age is just a number.
There we go.
There you go.
Right. So let's go through what I think has been. I want to go through 5 things, 5 key elements that I think we can all explore in our friendships, whether you're a male or a female, but particularly our friendship. I think then off these topics, I think there'll be good conversation around why these are kind of important for your relationships and how you can connect with yourself and other people better.
Of course.
The first one is shared values.
Yeah.
And we have kind of discussed this already, but like the idea for me is how what I value and you value, they're similar and sometimes different, but how they actually anchor ourselves in the present. Yeah. And as a result, we can go, okay, deadly. This is who we are. This is what's going on. And then we can kind of move forward with real clarity, for want of a better word.
Value is very, very important. And it's something I only really came across recently, but it's like a lot of people don't even know what their own values are. And so the first place is like, understand what is it you value in life, and how you figure out what you value in life is through your actions. Your actions always speak louder than your words. That saying has been around for donkey's years. But it's so true. It's like what you value in life. Like if I look at you, Brian, I'm such an admirer and I respect the work you do, but I also respect you even more so as a man and a father. Like, it's so evidently clear, just going off how, conversations we have and what you post online, you value your family. Your family is number one. Then it's your impact on the world is number 2, and what you do for other people and how you show up. And then it's taking care of yourself from a physical standpoint. Like, these are things that you value, which I also value as well. I know you're 10 years ahead of me, but I'm like, you're a great role model to me in many ways. I know we're obviously friends. You're also a role model. You're like an older brother. You're like almost a father figure as well. But I look at you and I go, he has his values laid out properly, and he's like living true to himself. I'll keep repeating that till the couch come home, I tell you. But the point being is, like, I look around, I see a lot of people that don't live true to themselves.
We will get back to the conversation in just a second, but if you're enjoying this episode, please leave a 5-star review, share with a friend, and make sure to hit that follow button for the next episode. And what this will do is just help the podcast grow and grow so I can get bigger and better guests as we go along. All the best.
They do something that eats them up inside, whether it's, we all want social conformity. We want to be loved by people, but we go out of our way. We almost manipulate ourselves to fit in with a crowd we don't want to be part of. If you're just true to yourself, and even if you've got to be alone for a period of time, Carl Jung talks about this. Eventually, people will come out of nowhere and they'll find you. But you've got to be brave enough to do it. But values, going back to values. Sorry, what was your initial question?
Well, no, what you're saying here is brilliant, because I would completely agree. I think it is right. So we're able to have that level of connection by us understanding ourselves well and understanding our values. Yeah. So a big thing with me, with clients, what you see time and time again is that people might feel a little bit overwhelmed or confused. Yeah. And when you sit down and you discuss values, oftentimes, they don't know what their values are. Yeah. Or if they do know what their values are, for example, a client might say to me, my top value is family. And it's like, brilliant. Maybe they're living out of alignment. of that value, you know? So our friendship really has been able to develop pretty seamlessly because I understand myself, you understand yourself, and therefore it's like, well, I know what I value, I know what I want from a relationship, and I know what I want from life.
Yeah.
So to actually have that connection with you is exactly what I want because I know who I am.
And that's a very masculine thing as well, to know what you want and to go out and get it. And there's something very key you just touched on there, alignment and values. How do you know if you're living true to yourself? Your values are aligned to the person that you are. Like, these are things I value and I'm aligning my actions to them. Like you said, people may have certain values, but they're not in alignment. Okay, you value your family, but how much time do you spend with them? How much time are you planning the next holiday? Are you really present with your children when you're at home? Because these are things that, feed into your values. Yeah, and we touched on it yesterday just because something on the top of my mind. Because I heard Brian Tracy say it recently, but he said the number one value each and every person has to have is integrity. Integrity, because if you don't have integrity at the top, integrity is like the spine of your body. It holds everything together. It's that reliance, it's that openness, that trust. If you don't have that in place, all your other values fall down because it's integral. Like you go in with integrity. We touch on that word a lot, and I do love it. But it's like
it
it's so
sense.
important as a man. You've got to be true to yourself. You've got to be open and honest and trustworthy.
Well, see, it's a big thing as well. So you're 28, I think, and you're at a stage where I was at my life where, not that it's easier, because it's not easier at all, but like you're able to explore this. And then when you get to kind of my age, around 38, I'm particularly since like 40s and 50s, you're almost stuck in your ways. And you can find it difficult to change. You can find it difficult to understand yourself. Because I think it's a big thing with values. And this has been huge for you over the last, I think, 2 or 3 years that I've known you. Our values change.
Yeah, our values do change.
I think that's really important to understand. Because maybe you're doing things now that you thought you used to like, or sorry, you did used to like, but now maybe you don't longer actually value.
Yeah.
And it's a big thing, I like to say kids. So I know you're giving up alcohol over the last 8 or 9 months. Me giving up alcohol was a big part of me being a father. I don't know if I would actually do it. And I'd even question a lot of the values that I have now and the man I am now. Would I be that man by not being a father?
Yeah.
So, but again, everything shifts once you experience life and things kind of happen to you. And I think a lot of us are living, as you said at the very start, unconsciously on autopilot because we don't necessarily give ourselves the space and go back. Sorry, this is what I get from our friendship an awful lot. Like we were training yesterday.
Yeah.
And the conversation we have for an hour and a half was fucking deadly.
Brian, once a week, because we hadn't seen each other in 2 weeks and I missed you. I genuinely missed you. And I'll always let you know. And do you know what I love about our friendship? Like, it is open. Like, we all often say to each other, I love you.
Yeah.
And that's not weird.
No.
And that shouldn't be weird. As
But
brothers and friends.
But go back to that, right? The reason that I do love you is because you give me a space to be myself.
Yeah.
Like you support me. I go, what's the crack? This is what.
Yeah.
But I'm not, like having that connection.
Yeah.
That's fucking. There's a support there and a realness there.
And I said this before we got going. Having that support, that connection, that kind of fallback and trust with someone else, and especially as a man to man, I'm talking here, you can build. You can build then, because it's like, I have your back, you have my back. Because we often say, like, we're now meeting nearly twice a week without that blip that we had obviously last week where we didn't see each other for 2 weeks. But it's like, when I'm around you, I leave energized. And this is the thing, I'm like fueled and ready to go. I've got new insights, and you'll say certain things to me, I'm like, fuck yeah. You just see things in a different light. You know what I mean? This is the importance of friendships. You're constantly getting feedback from each other, and then you'll give me little nuggets of something, and it'll play in my mind a small bit, and I'll think about it a bit more, and I go, that's what I need to take action on next. Or like, because you've guided me in massively so this year. I actually don't know if I'd be in this chair right now if you didn't give me a bit of advice back in January. I was going to go down a different path completely, purely based on financial reasons. And you're like, listen, you have something here. You basically pull me aside. You're like, there's potential for you to do something different that is more true to you. And that's the advice I needed in that moment. And this is the importance, like I was saying, of open conversation, man to man, staying it straight, not wrapping up in cotton wool. You're like, that's not the right thing for you to do.
I'll tell you what, Jamesy, hold on for a second, because we're going to move into the second point, which is radical honesty. And that's what it is there.
Honesty.
But just to finish off on the point of values, right? Because I think the alcohol is a big thing for a lot of us and people listen to this, and not necessarily it being a bad thing, but actually potentially when it comes to your values, maybe you no longer value that relationship that you have with people in the pub and you want to kind of get out of there. So I just think the importance of, again, if you don't get the idea of understanding your values just yet, your environment and the people you're surrounded with, are you in alignment with what they're doing? And if not, brilliant, because there's an opportunity to change, is what I would say.
Yeah, change. And change is always possible. And you can change any moment as well. And like you touched on there, there's something that Jim Rohn said years ago, but it stuck in my mind. Like, you are the average of the 5 people you spend your most time with. And when I was in that period, when I was 23 to kind of 24, 25, I was like, the people I'm around at the moment are not on the trajectory that I want to be going on. So I've got to change myself. And I spend a good bit of time alone, and it's working out pretty well, because I look at the 5 people I have in my life now, Brian, are yourself, Dan, I would say Tom Coleman, Gavin Meehan, good friend Matt, all very successful men, business orientated, true to the purpose, living a life of agency as well. But like, anyone can do it. You just got to spend a bit of time alone and become a person of value as well. How can I add value? You're not just taking from someone. How can I actually add to their life? Very, very important.
Okay, number 2, James, radical honesty. And you kind of mentioned it already. And this is really important, though, for our friendship. I think friendship in general, because as you said there, it's not like, especially when you have a friendship, because when it comes to a friendship, the intention of the other person is always good. Like, they want you to do well. That's what a friend does. Yeah. They're there to support you. So if you know you can rely on someone who's going to be honest with you, then you can go to them and ask them questions.
Yeah.
Because you know what you're getting back is real.
And you can go much deeper as well, because you're not like, I see it from the point of view, I look at friendships that I used to be part of. There's no depth. There's no connection. People are they don't care, Brian. A lot of people don't care. They care just enough about themselves, but not about someone else.
I want to stop there for a second, because I don't know if they don't care. Cause I actually think people are just, again, a little bit more insecure in their own doings.
Yeah, sorry. The point I was just going to follow up there, you literally just encapsulated very well. They're so caught up in themselves that they can't care. Okay. That's probably a better way of saying it. But yeah, just I think very important for men as well to be able to take criticism, because it never comes ill-intentioned. Like you just mentioned there, if I was to say something, it's from a good place. I'm not trying to put you down, and you'd know that anyway, because that's not how I operate. But it comes from a place of, I want you to get better, and I see something that you might be doing that's slightly off right now. How can we correct this? I'll say it to you, and I've no fear of saying it to you, because I don't expect you to have a backlash or anything, because I know you're very mature, you're very solid, you're very grounded, you're centered. It's like, just say it and see what they say. And like, if you've got good friends, they'll acknowledge it. They'll almost thank you for pointing something out. They won't criticize you. They won't like fight back a bit with you. But it's just important. Brutal honesty. Men need to be brutally honest with each other. And if you're not pulling your weight, let your friends know about it, because you want to see the best for them, because you rise up together. What is that like? Rising tide lifts all boats. It's very true. If you get better, I get better. We go to the moon and beyond. And
even like, was a huge thing for me last year when I was struggling and making my change professionally. With you gave me great support and great honesty about kind of bigging me up, but in a very authentic, real way. At a time where I was struggling, and I was like, I don't know, and I would question again whether I would be doing what I'm doing right now without that level of support. And I'll go back to it, the honesty, because you help me, you call me out and say, this is bullshit, this. So when you're actually giving me genuine, good, lovely feedback, I was like, well, that's real.
Well, it's always honest and sincere. That's what I operate. That's where I operate from. Like, I remember reading How to Win Friends and Influence People, and it's like, if you're going to give appreciation, and the people love appreciation in life, and they don't get enough of it, Brian. The one thing that everyone needs to nourish more of, is our self-esteem. And how do we do that? We give little bits of gratitude, which come in the form of compliments. But it's always sincere. I would never, blow smoke up your arse if I didn't believe it was real. But I'll give you that support as a friend, because someone needs to say it to you, because it'll give you the confidence to go take action on what that next step might be, and maybe overcome a fear, or maybe it's a small insecurity, or it's like a stumbling block. And that piece of information, that piece of goodwill, just gets you flying. And credit to you now, because in a short space of time, what you're doing with Kinesis is exceptional. You know what I mean? 18 clients.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But again, the idea with that also is that I do need to have that support around me in order to actually lean into it. We can't live life alone. The reason, like, the one thing that we need more than anything, more than almost food and water, is social connection. Is that, like, we need that compassion from each other, that trust, that friendship, that bond, because we can't do this life solo. So, but it's important as well, and you know this as well, Brian. Every great king that's ever existed, he had like a council around him. He had advisors here, then everywhere. That's how you build an empire, a kingdom, is you're getting the right people around you the whole time. Well, let's go straight into number 3, because I actually think number 3, when it comes to male friendships in particular, is often missing, and is probably the foundation in order to move to the next level. And you're looking at me going like, what is he talking about? Yeah, what are you going to say? Emotional safety. Being able to be vulnerable, to be able to go, I'm struggling, to be able to like, this is actually who I am and what's going on. Yeah. And knowing you have that space to do that. I think it's missing in an awful lot of male friendships. And again, I'll go back to our friendship. It's something that we've always had. Yeah. And it has been, like, what I believe that we give each other is a platform to express who we truly are.
on an emotional level as well. Because I've seen you, there's been times where you were struggling with certain things, and then I've seen you at the highest highs, and then I've seen you maybe in a fear state or something may have happened. But a real friend lets their other partner in the friendship just let it all out. Vulnerability is a sign of strength. Like when you are revealing, it's like being completely naked. Vulnerability is like being completely naked. And it's like, this is all sides of me, take me or leave me. When you've got a good friend, they'll stick by you because you know deep down that they've got their back. And this is a kind of weird example, but the Tate brothers, I believe why a big part of their success is because they always had each other's backs. They're like two brothers, the two peas in a pod. They always support each other, and they've always been there for each other. But that's what men need. And this whole thing of men can't be vulnerable. It's like there's a time and a place for it. I think men need to go with their problems to other men and not to their woman, because that will put her in a state of fear and take her out of her femininity. But men need to become more masculine by going to their friends, their male masculine friends, and be like, I'm dealing with this right now, can you help me out? And you might express emotion with it, you might express pain, whatever, grief, whatever it is, but you work through it man to man. You find a solution, and then you go home a better man to the wife and
I actually think it's fundamental to a friendship that you're able to have that space to be vulnerable. Because again, if you can't be your true self there, then you will struggle to be your true self anywhere. And I think that's the issue you have. Go back to kind of what we're talking about, that radical honesty, and then those values or lack thereof. You could potentially be having friendships that, as you mentioned, are kind of superficial, and then you're not actually having any real depth at all. And that's an issue, because if you don't have that in your day-to-day kind of friendships, where else can you get that?
Where else are you going to get it? And like, I think you become a stronger man when you have it as well. When you know someone else has your back or can just allow you to be you, it's like there's real strength there. And this is why we're needing more of these conversations, Brian. And like, even outside of this, building communities that are in person. And you touched on roundtable conversations you've done previously in the past, like men just expressing themselves because they finally have a place to do it where they feel comfortable, and they've got a leader there that's allowing this to happen. It's facilitating this space they feel safe in to just get it out. We're suppressing so much. A lot of men as well are suppressing emotion. We don't know how to become emotional. And like, I hear so many podcasts, and they'll talk about fathers and say, like, even a generation ago, some of them don't even say the words "I love you" to their son or their daughter. Imagine just because they were so cold hearted. Maybe that's just how they've always been. Maybe they were never expressed love. Like, we just need to become better at expressing our emotions in the right place, in a comfortable way. And I feel like friendships allow that to happen. A good friendship allows that to happen.
Do you know what, actually, because you're saying about expressing emotions, when I was in the hospital with Sailor the other day, she kept saying that she was scared. And straight away, my reaction, my first reaction was, don't be scared, Baba. And I caught myself, I was like, no, you be scared.
Yeah.
You're allowed to be scared, Sailor. And what I said to her was like, you're allowed to be scared, Baba. That's fine.
Yeah.
That is here. I'm here to support you. Whatever the doctors say, don't worry, we're gonna find out what it is. But that idea of expressing emotion and it not being bad, because that's something that I would have said to Sailor when she was younger, as in, don't feel that, or don't cry, or don't do this. The reaction, the emotion is real. That's allowed. And then it's the narrative and story around that, of what it actually is.
Yeah, it's a signal. We're feeling this emotion. It's a signal, like what's happening in the moment. Obviously, she's fearful because she may have to have the.
She doesn't know. That's
she doesn't
point.
know. It's
the
unknown.
Yeah.
It's the unknown. Yeah, but not to suppress it and push it down. And look, I've often said, I don't know why this idea popped into my head towards the end of last year, but I kept saying to myself, I think I was reading a certain book at the time. It could have been the Tony Robbins book, actually, Awaken the Giant Within. He talks about the 10 powerful emotions and just being a greater expression of love in the world. Because love melts everything down. That warmth, love and feeling.
But even that though, right? Even that as a man, that requires vulnerability.
It does, but like, what a great place to operate from, Brian. Like, we both discussed the book, The King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. The most important element of all them 4 masculine archetypes is to operate from the lover, because he allows everything else to flourish. But like, it's such a beautiful place. When you're a greater expression of love in this world, you're just adding, better feeling to everyone else. People feel that love off you. But the most important place for that to start is within you. You've got to love yourself so you can give to other people.
Well, that is important, because if I go back to my own journey as a young man, I remember getting pissed drunk and having these DMCs, these vulnerable conversations that I really wanted to have with my mates. I didn't have the courage to have, off the Dutch courage. Have you always found it easy to be vulnerable, or is this, again, a process that you've developed over the last couple of years?
To be more vulnerable, have I found it easier to be more vulnerable?
Have you always been vulnerable?
No, not always. No, it's definitely a shadow of what I am now.
So is it something that you've developed or allowed to happen?
I've developed it, become more vulnerable because I'm like, this is just who I am, and this is how I want to operate. Like I've no, like, if people like me, if they don't like me, it doesn't really bother me. I just am who I am, and this is the place I want to operate from. I'll express my mind. Like, we're only here for a certain amount of time, so I might as well just be true to myself. And because I'm being true to myself, maybe there's a greater degree of love there. And yeah, it's just like, why hide anything? Why hide it? Like, just if you're vulnerable, I just believe there's such a degree of strength there. Lean into that, because you're a better man forward as well. But if you're trying to cower away and maybe hide things, it's like people can't really see. Like I believe, like, if you were just true to yourself and you're living authentically and you're living just how you are and you're showing up and you're acting, you're behaving how you are, people will be more for it, because everyone else is trying to play a role, play a character. And it's like, we can all see through it. We all know you're pretending to some degree, but if you're just being true to yourself, you're like, I don't care if I'm being vulnerable. This is just how I am.
Yeah. Well, even because that nicely segues into the next underlying point of a good friendship and our friendship that has kind of worked well. And we've mentioned it already, the idea of support, but actually the mutual support.
Yeah.
Because it is this case of, like, I don't have the answers, you don't have the answers, but you do have that idea of, I want you to do well. You want me to do well. And to have that support there, like I said, when you have someone has your back in a way that is, and it's not even that they have your back in the sense of, you know, whatever's going to happen is going to be okay. It's actually stepping into the uncertainty of life going, well, whatever's happens, I know I'm going to be able to find the answer.
Yeah, yeah.
Good, bad, or indifferent. And that's something that, again, I think needs to be developed in a relationship. It's not something that you often get. Yeah. I think, again, go back to what we're trying to talk about here, that idea of the vulnerability, the depth of a relationship. Because it's similar, you're with your missus only a short time, but me and Danielle are together 8 years. And that love has a depth that we just didn't have, that you don't have. Yeah. You just don't have it because of time.
Yeah, time.
And oftentimes our friendships, they may be long, but actually we don't give the experience and the depth during that time. And that's what I think is really important in a male friendship.
Yeah, that's that is a great point. That is a great point, because when you've got a good support system, a good foundation, it's like a foundation of a house. You can build it up and it can turn into, you know, something better and better over time. But that is it's foundational. That support is really foundational. That's how I view that. Like, if I didn't have your support, I think I touched on this before we got going. I was like, I wouldn't be the man I am if I didn't have the friendship that we have. Because it helps me just get to another level. Even the conversation that we had yesterday, Brian, like, it's just like you're constantly leveling up through like an hour and a half together, because great minds were discussing ideas. You're helping me with certain things. And there's also, like, when you have a good friend, there's this mad energetic feeling you get off just being around them as well. Like, I'm literally buzzing when we're together, and then I leave and I'm on top of the world, and I can, you know, come in next door and do a bit of work on the laptop, and I'm just flying through a list of things that I want to get done, because I'm just operating on a much better energetic field. But it all comes back, like you're saying, support. And, like, I would support you through a lot of things, and you've obviously had a lot of big decisions you've made over the last while. But having that support is like, you know, you're knowing that your friend is behind you, whatever happens. You're staring out into the abyss, and, you know, you're uncertain of the next step. You take the next step, and then you fall on like a bed of feathers. It's like, whatever happens though, they'll pull you back up. If you're going to fall, they'll pull you back up. They're just there to support you. A long-winded answer.
No, even that, because a mentor said to me before, from a business context, how a business partner, two of you, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, it equals 11. So the idea of, again, if you go back to a friendship, like you said about the conversation we had yesterday, there's an exchange of energy, there's an exchange of ideas. Like, you're getting thoughts out of your head and getting thoughts out of my head, and what you say creates or stirs something in me. Yeah. And again, if you're able to be that authentic self, you're able to reveal yourself fully, if you're able to be vulnerable and have that depth, because I think depth ultimately, right, that support gets better and gets more deeper through the pain of life.
Yeah.
Like, as you said there, like, you've had hardships over the last year, 2, 3. I've had hardships over the last year, 2, 3, and we've been part of those hardships.
Yeah.
And you've been able to see the person adapt, transmute, change through that, and obviously support them through that as well. So that just gives you a level of I suppose looking behind the actual, the reality of you, the actual real person, rather than the bullshit you might see.
Putting on a
outside.
facade or a role or trying to be saying, I'm fine, when you're like, I know you're not fine, man. Just tell me what's actually going on with you, because that's why a lot of friendships are. Like they're lacking depth. They really are, and you could help each other out so much more if you're just open and honest about your struggles. Everyone struggles in life. Everyone goes through pain, difficulties, whatever challenges. Just talk about them with a friend. I think Jordan Peterson said it best, but he said the reason why we speak to each other is to organise the thoughts that are in our own head. But be honest about the thoughts that you're actually having and the emotions that you're experiencing and what's actually going on in your life. Because if you do that with another man, I'm telling you, you can work through it, you'll solve the problem, and you'll show up as a greater man in this world because you're working through it and you're not avoiding it. But that comes through just being honest and vulnerable and open. And I suppose that is the most difficult part, is to get there.
I think it's a journey as well. As in, it's a journey, like you said, that you never kind of stop or finish. But you said something there, and I propped something up my head. And that fucking leave me, because that was a good old point that you said there.
It's Jordan Peterson?
No, it was something else. But the idea, I suppose, of like that support, and I'll go back to it because we keep mentioning it, but the idea of that environment, you said about the king and having the board of directors and people around you that you can go, like, you can call on. So if you're kind of struggling in life now and you don't have that, again, rather than looking at that as a bad thing, I would look at it as an opportunity.
Constructive.
Yeah, because again, if you are on your own, literally trying to go through life in the pain, the uncertainty, and the work, it would make sense why you're struggling, because we all struggle. I still struggle, and I have that support. Yeah. But again, without that support, it's going to be a hell of a lot more likely of me stopping or falling down.
It's almost going to be detrimental to you, Brian. Like, if you don't have people around you that you can call upon, this is why we need good friends, good company, good advisors in life. Because if you don't have that, you are completely lost. And this is why reaching out, I think it takes a lot of courage. I think it takes a lot of courage to tell someone what's actually really going on in your life. But what's the alternative? Like, you repress that, you keep it internal. I think that builds up and it causes down the line way more problems than actually just revealing what's going on in your life in the moment. Yeah.
Well, the last one then, Jamesy, about our friendship, and I believe it's kind of fundamental for any friendship, is the non-competitive space. Yeah, now, we do compete in the sense of training and that kind of crack, but the idea of the non-competitive space, because, and that it's important really, is that idea of celebrating wins, is that idea of it being like, you win or you progress and I try and big one up over you, like, I know mine's fucking better than yours. Because, again, go back to deep down, what we're all looking for is that connection. Yeah, it's not actually the external validation or the bullshit that we're all chasing. Yeah. And rather than you doing something really well, if I can actually celebrate and genuinely be happy for you, like, well, it's a shared joy. Isn't that what friendship's all about? Yeah. Like, friendship's not about condemning someone when they've done something well. It's about celebrating and enjoying the happiness that they felt on their path to success. Like, there's been many times you succeeded, many times I've succeeded. And it's great just to be around each other. And I know you're actually joyous of the fact that I might have succeeded, or I'm joyous of the fact that you might have succeeded. That brings me up. And it's like, we're not, this, like you said there, it's not competitive. It's supportive, once again. You get better, I get better. That's how friendship should work. Like, we're trying to progress each other forward, up and up and up. But no, it would never come down to trying to one-up each other. I don't believe that that's what friendship is. Like, you're trying to one-up each other. There's maybe a competitive element to it, but not putting the other person down for something they've done well. Well, actually, speaking of Jordan Peterson, because I remember Jordan Peterson saying about the idea of, if you want to know who your true friends are, tell them good news and they won't try and one-up you. Yeah. They'll be excited for you. They'll celebrate it rather than go, oh yeah, well, what about my good news? Yeah. And it is so true, though, because otherwise, like, why we just played a game here? What are we doing here? I've been around that before, and it drains your energy. Yeah. Because then you're like, I don't want to tell this person. I don't want to tell this person anything. No, and you also have to wear a mask. So all of a sudden, if you can't tell them anything, you don't have to suppress things or actually pretend you're something that you're not. Yeah. I think a lot of relationships, friendships, that's what happens. Pretending the whole time. Yeah. That is the worst place to be, because at your core, you are pretending to be this other person or suppressing some part of yourself. I think we can flourish, right? I think we can flourish when we live authentically. That's the essence of what it is. You will flourish as a person the more you lean into just being who you are. The more you suppress that, you'll kill your soul. You'll actually kill your soul. And that will lead to a lot of negative talk inside, a lot of negative self-talk inside your head, which will lead to, that lower state of emotion, which will actually cause disease in your body, because, you're pulling and tearing at this person you're trying to be, and you just know deep down you're not. Yeah, because I would like to kind of go through 3 steps that I think have really helped our relationship. That potentially, if someone's listening to this and they want to develop a particular relationship with their friend, that I think will really help them. And the first thing we've mentioned time and time again, and I'd actually even like to ask you, but like initiating a deeper conversation, right? I think that's the first step, like genuinely initiating it. But for me, I've always had this desire to have deep conversations, like genuinely since I was fucking young. I don't know why. Did you?
No, it's not something I was aware of.
So this is something again from your development. The last
I
couple
used
of
to
years.
always love, even before I became somewhat self-aware, I used to love connecting with people. I think I got it from my dad was very good around other people, and he would get a lot of joy in the moment from being in the company of others. And I just remember him, like, he'd be grabbing hold of people and shaking their arm and like laughing out loud, and I was like, that's class. I want to have that. But the conversation side of it, I was kind of unaware to it all, to be honest.
And again, I'm talking in hindsight because I wasn't necessarily aware at the time.
Yeah.
But looking back, man, I was screaming out for like depth of
We
conversation.
all want to. Like, you understand the power of, like, after leaving the studio, after having a great conversation, you feel moved. Like, you feel there's that depth of connection there that, like, we're all seeking it. We're all seeking honest, non-distracted conversation where we feel that we can just truly express ourselves. But we live in a world where everyone's distracted. They don't want to, because they're so distracted, they can't connect with you. And there's no depth there. Like, thank God, like, I know obviously you've got a few notes on the phone. My phone's on airplane mode. I know it's not going to ring. And you know your phone's not going to ring. So we're not taken out of the moment, because the longer we stay in this moment, the deeper it gets. Well, I think the word depth has been mentioned 100,000 times so far today, but that's what it's all about. It's like, you know, we're needing deeper conversation. Everyone's needing deeper conversation because we're living in a world that's just way too distracted, and that's why people are experiencing anxiety and depression, is because we're humans. We all want deep connection with one another.
But you're really good at connecting with people in general. So is there any kind of questions that you could potentially give people that they could initiate with their friendships if they wanted to have a more deeper conversation?
Deeper conversation.
I can think of one.
Go for it.
Like, what are you struggling with?
Yeah. Just
even just that.
literally raw.
Like, as in right now,
Yeah.
what are you struggling with? Or if someone say, you know, like,
Yeah.
because I don't know, like this idea of like, how are you getting on? Grand, or what's up? Yeah, I'm all right. Or weather's great. Or, you know, it's just all bullshit, really, you know?
Ask someone, a good one that won't give you a straightforward answer is, how are you feeling about that? Because feeling, they have to tell you the emotion that they're feeling to go deeper with it straight away. So whatever, you know, you could ask someone how they're struggling, or, you know, how that make you feel, or, you know, when that happened, how did you feel? Just including the word feel in it, they'll have to come back with an answer where they'll actually express emotion, and it'll give you a greater insight to actually what's going on. So that's an important one. How did you feel about that? It's a
Okay, I like that. So again, initiating a deeper conversation, I think, is the first thing, basically, what I'd like to do in terms of that step. The second one then, and you already mentioned it, appreciating and affirming your friend.
affirmation.
Because I think that's everything. As you said, we love to be told good things about
people
ourselves.
love to be praised.
Yeah.
People love to be praised, but there's nothing they want more than encouragement towards their self-esteem. Like, people want to feel good about themselves, and if you can point out something they've done well, you know, just, you know, show them that they're appreciated for doing that. Like, we get it as kids so much. You get it when you're growing up. You're told you're doing that great, you're doing this great. But when we become adults, we don't get it at all. We don't get it at all. And how people feel good about themselves is giving compliments. When you get a compliment, like, you start smiling. If you say something good about me, I'm fucking beaming ear to ear. You know what I mean? If I give you a compliment, I'd like to believe it does the same for you too. But, like, we need that deep down, like, and go out of your way to just point something out that someone's done well. Because it'll not just make them feel good, it'll make you feel good for giving it as well.
I think a big thing as well with that, particularly with friendship, is that when you give that person the admiration that you see in them, you're giving them a license to continue doing that good thing that you like in them.
And they'll probably do it again as well.
Yeah.
So you're reaffirming something to themselves they've done well, and it'll give them more confidence. Go and do it again. They'll probably do it better, and that's how you fucking grow.
Yeah.
Is you're going to keep on growing. It's because, like, now you've got someone else that supports you, and that gives you a bit more self-belief in what you're trying to achieve, and you're like, yeah, well, let's keep going with it.
Well, I've got better over my years of kind of accepting compliments. Would you have ever struggled with that?
Definitely. I used to play them off, but the most important thing, you don't want to offend someone that's giving you a compliment. So if someone gives you a compliment, say, oh, thank you very much for that, and, like, appreciate that, or appreciate and acknowledge that they have, you know, given you a compliment, because there's nothing worse when you give someone a compliment and they almost want to fight you over it. Like,
Yeah.
That's not what I'm trying to do here at all. Just, you can
It's
accept
a genuine compliment.
Yeah, and especially the Irish people, I think, as well. Like, we take compliments very poorly. But the most important thing to do is, like, thanks very much for that. I appreciate that.
And actually, but like anything, it is a skill. Like,
It is
if
a skill.
you could just be open to the compliment. You don't have to necessarily go, like, I'm going to fully accept this internally and go, this feels great. But if someone gives it to you, you go, I will accept it.
Yeah.
And eventually, over time, you will begin to adapt and go, geez, I can actually see that myself. Thanks very much.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I, every day in the journal, will express gratitude, and it's friends based, it's life based, but like always just finding things to actually be appreciative for in life is so important, because that'll actually lift your vibration up completely. Like, when you're expressing gratitude on this world, it's like you just feel whole as well. And I think that's an element of, like, when you count your blessings, more blessings will then be counted in the future. So if you can find things in your life you're grateful for now, you'll find way more in the future, and that'll compound, and you'll find an abundance of things to be grateful for. And I believe a lot comes from gratitude.
I love that.
It's a powerful attitude.
Number
Gratitude,
one, initiate
powerful
a
attitude.
deeper conversation. Number two, appreciate and affirm your friend. And then number three, which I always talk about anyway, but the idea of showing up intentionally. Like you mentioned about not being distracted. You mentioned about, like, setting time and making, reaching out to someone and put it in the calendar, etc.
Yeah.
But that idea of showing up with intention, I think as you get older, we stop doing, or it becomes more difficult because of the responsibility of life.
Yeah, like, we almost get distracted with everything else that's going on.
Yeah, we don't have time.
Intention, yeah, like, make time for people, quality time as well. So important, because, like, how are your friends meant to know how you feel about them if you're not seeing them? You know what I mean? Or you're not texting out to them. I came across this concept through a friend of mine. Bradley is his name. He said, always be a better friend. And I was on a beach in Marbella at the time. We just went for a sea dip that morning, and it was funny, right? Because I was over there at the time. I was only there for a few days, and he was the one that reached out to me. And the message came in, and I was busy at the time, right? I was doing a seminar of some sort, and he then texted me again on the Monday morning. He said, "Man, let's meet up." So he texted me nearly 3 times this stage, and I hadn't got back to him. I said, "Fuck, I have to reply to this fella. I can't leave him on red." Anyway, got back to him. We met up the next morning, went for that sea dip. But he explained that concept of always be a better friend. Reach out to the friend that you haven't heard from in a while. Make the time to, maybe even call them, or plan a time that you're going to meet. Be that better friend, because a lot of people are living in their own world. They're completely distracted with all what's happening in their own lives. We all, we've all got things going on, but just be that friend that's always there for them, and then makes a plan to see them, and then just doing that alone makes people feel appreciated. And we all want to feel appreciated.
There's an element of courage there that your mate there did. So he didn't get a response back, he goes again. Didn't get a response back, he goes again. Where people are like, oh, he didn't respond back, so I just can't. He fucking hates me or something, or he hasn't made time for me.
Yeah.
But again, if you're going to initiate that with a level of intention, you can actually lead that.
Yeah.
And there's an element there of kind of creating your own life. There's an energy to that.
Yeah.
That is different than just fucking allowing life happen to you.
Exactly. Intentionality is so important. You've mentioned that word many times over and over to me again.
Well, I think that is my philosophy of life, genuinely. Yeah. Again, life doesn't have to go perfectly, swimmingly well all the time, because it's not going to. But at least I'm living with some level of intention.
Oh, you definitely are.
Yeah, but I try to, is what I mean, though. At least trying to lean into the uncertainty or the next moment, going like, I'm conscious, I'm alive, I'm awake here.
Yeah. Well, what I love that you do, Brian, is that you've molded your own world. You've constructed your own world. Like, a masculine man lives a purpose. Like, you're living true to your values. Like, you're living in alignment. And, like, I've always looked up to that. I was like, you are the type of man that I do want to become, even in a family sense as well. And it's like, that, like you said, intention. And now you've got the agency over your own life. And obviously you're 10 years ahead of me, and that's what I plan on doing myself as well.
Well, that's been a key thing for me, though, in our friendship. Like, it's anyone who would have someone who's younger than them will probably say, like, I see a lot of me in you.
You said that, yeah.
So even that when I helped you down certain paths and stuff, is because I've either made a wrong turn or I have had the exact same internal thoughts or ideas, and I've just experienced life a little bit more.
Yeah.
And it actually makes me want to be better today.
Yeah.
Because I'm giving you the advice that, again, I'm like, I think this is best for you. And then when you actually lean into it, I'm like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
It just shows me what's possible for me.
Yeah, it's
You
true.
know?
Yeah. And I think that's a big part of life, the kind of teacher-student dynamic that'll always exist as well, like giving back and then the student actually applying what the teacher said. But it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Like, having a really good, strong friendship in life where you're vulnerable and you can support each other. There really is nothing better. Like,
I don't know. I think as I get older, like, it's just crazy to me. Like, we're talking about the depth here of friendship, and I don't know. Like I said, I've always wanted the levels of depth of friendship and conversation, etc. Maybe I just have more awareness around it, but I just view the importance of friendship so much differently now at 38 years of age than I would have had even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, And like I said, like that support, that necessity, like this conversation is medicine for me and you.
It is
like, you know,
medicine.
we're genuinely getting ideas and thoughts out that we don't even know what we're talking about. They're inside us.
Yeah.
And having that space to be vulnerable, to be accepted, to be ourselves, and have that support then to go and do and lean into life. Like, that's just fundamental for me for the next fucking 40, 50, 60 years.
Exactly.
Not just right now.
Forever. And, you know, I think maybe before we were able to do it much better than how we do it today. Because I just think the whole phone case is like, it's taken us away
We're
from...
more individual.
Yeah, we're way more individual. And like to think that we don't need each other, like it's not. I think there'll have to be a shift back to more kind of like, you know, there's one thing I can't stand, Brian, right? It's like online communities. And like it doesn't make sense to me because a community is like how I view a community is you're in person, you can touch, you can feel each other, you can talk to one another, or you sit across the table from them, you clap hands, you meet, you hug when you leave, you tell them I love you, whatever it might be. It's like that doesn't happen on a virtual sense, you know what I mean? And it's like men need deeper connection. Men really need deeper connection. And like you said, you've got plans over the next few months, hopefully do workshops of some sort. You'll facilitate that. And I'm telling you, people are crying out for it. I know they're crying out for it because if I wasn't in this position, I'd be crying out for it myself.
And then, yeah, but I suppose the one thing then, because it's going now with the likes of AI and more virtual, that this has actually become even more important.
Oh, way more important.
Like, it's not as if it's even kind of slowing down. It's actually going like it could get even more destructive in the sense of these connections and these
isolation,
relationships.
complete isolation. People going into the virtual world and not coming back. Like, I love this world. I'd rather live in this world than live in my phone. The phone's just a benefit, like for business or connecting with people or posting content, whatever it might be. But like being with someone and being in their presence is a gift. Where you're present with someone and you're not distracted. The only moment that exists right now. And if I can be here right now in the moment, and that will facilitate me connecting with you much better as well. Because I'm not getting caught in the past or thinking about the future. I'm just here. Just here. Like, it's so important. But like, there's a joy. There is a shift of energy when you're present with someone, you're connected with someone. That's the gift of life. Friendship is a great gift. Great, great gift. But it's just like, you've got to help yourself get connected with your person by becoming vulnerable. And that's how you go deeper.
Well, even that as well, you're saying it's a gift of life, because even, especially like my age and the people I work with, and again, 30s, 40s, 50s, as you have more responsibility, you'd often question, like, I don't have the time. But as I'm saying here now, I'm redefining friendship in my own eyes over the last couple of years, going, like, I need to make time for this.
Yeah.
Like, if I don't make the time, I'm less of a man.
Yeah.
I'm actually not as good father. I don't have as much opportunity. I'm not going to have that same energy and drive and motivation and desire to lead.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult.
It's difficult to do it by yourself. And I think you made a great point there. I think I only became aware of it maybe in the last couple of months as well, is the importance of friendship. Even more so. Maybe just because how we've been has got to a deeper level. But like being around people that uplift you on a regular basis just completely shifts your energy. Like you said there, like, you know, I definitely feel like when we're trained together, there's that masculine element in the room of like, there's testosterone in the air almost. Like
You just love this masculinity.
It's just like a competition. We keep going on about it, but we'll have another conversation at a different stage about masculinity. But it's so like men need to be around other men that uplift them, that like demand more of them, that set their standards higher from being in their presence. It's just, that is so key and so fundamental. And then you go back home and you're a better father and you're better with the missus because you've recharged that masculine battery that's always there, but it needs to be charged in the right way.
Yeah.
It needs to be charged in the
Because
right
again,
way.
I go back to, I suppose, the issue that we all have is those old habits that maybe no longer serve us.
Yeah.
And alcohol obviously is just kind
And
of the main
friends
one,
as well,
yeah.
Brian. Friends, like...
Of letting them go.
Yeah, letting people go. Like, as difficult as that is, like, a lot of friendships can just be on default, whether that's people you work with or maybe school friends. It's like, surely you've developed to some extent, even in your own personal life, that you have different interests that will bring forth different people into your life. Lean into that. Don't be afraid of being alone for a period of time, because you'll find the group that you want to be around. A lot of people, it's out of comfort. They'd rather be wrong with the crowd and be with them than right by themselves and be alone. Just if you're true to who you are and be right by yourself, you'll find your group eventually. And the same thing happened with me. Like, and I believe it's possible for anyone. I'm no different than anyone else. Just do the work on yourself and it will happen.
James, you have to fucking leave it there. What a drop mic there moment that is. So that, like, look, the joys now of me kind of doing my own podcast is to genuinely show people like my own side and my friends, the conversations. Because I think a big thing with this for me, just as I'm doing my thing, is I I don't believe like I'm a guru or have any particular answer. It's just this idea though and way of living and the opportunity that I feel that I've seen, I've developed over my life, as you said, is available to other people.
Yeah.
And I think the more that we can lean into ourselves, our authenticity, reveal our true selves, I just think that gives other people to do the exact same.
It's empowering, Brian. It's empowering. It takes a lot of work to get there, but anyone else can do it. You've got to have that belief deep down inside as well that you can do it. And you know what? It's been great. Obviously, I've seen you change many times over since this friendships began. But definitely, you are now operating from a completely different paradigm than I've ever seen you before. And like, it's so clear that you're now on a path that is true to you, and I can feel the energy off you as well. But it's like, you know yourself as well. You're just operating from a completely different place. I'd say it's more from love than anything else. You operate from, you're very heart centered now. How you're helping your clients and the progress you're making, the opportunities that are coming your way is fascinating. But you're just leaning into being you, which is the most important thing.
Well, Jamesy, I've decided now after that conversation, I think I'm going to go with the name of this podcast episode is going to be Real Friends, Real Depth, a new model for male connection.
Nice new model for male connection. I like the sound of that.
Well, look, if you don't already follow James Hempton, you definitely should. Jamesy, give us some background. Where can we find you if you want to find more of you?
The Instagram page is probably the best place to go. That's James Hempton _. I've got a podcast, The James Hempton Show. And
Jeez, are you copying me? The Brian O'Loughlin Show. The James Hempton. Actually, I copied you. You're doing it longer than me.
And then lastly, just to announce, I am in the process of writing my first book, Traditional Masculine Values, which is going to be released November 27th. So yeah, that is.
So that's 100%. You're still going with that date.
100%. Yeah,
you're not wavering on that.
Yeah, no, not wavering on the date as well. So it keeps me accountable when I announce it publicly. So yeah, my first book. I'm very excited to write it. I think it's needed at this day and age, and I believe you're front and center as well, Brian, at that masculine movement. There's a masculine renaissance about to happen. And I'm just very excited to see how it unfolds.
Oh, look, man, genuinely, I fucking love you to bits.
I love
Thank
you too.
You so
I love
much
you too.
for coming on the podcast. And it won't be your last time, Jamesy. It won't be your last time.
Listen, all the best.
Talk soon.